Jaldabaoth, the name alone was enough to instill fear and terror in the hearts of the population at the western edge of the nameless continent. The mere existence of this demonic monarch was an existential threat to numerous nations, yet at the same time it was nothing more than an illusion crafted by the great tomb of Nazarick. So the question arises, why? What were Demiurge's reasons for spreading fear and terror as Jaldabaoth? As always, my explanation will be a longer one to fully unravel this. Let's start with the conception of this persona, Demiurge's alter ego. Initially, Nazarick, that is, the Great Tomb, was completely in the dark about the strength and characteristics of the New World. Ainz Ooal Gown, for instance, had no idea how powerful the supposed knights of the Baharuth Empire were, who had attacked the village of Karn. In other words, from his perspective, extreme caution was required. Throughout the story, Ainz has repeatedly shown his aversion to engaging in battles where he lacks sufficient information. Because of this, Ainz Ooal Gown initially acted with extreme discretion. Before the first contact with other forces, he instructed Mar-Ray to create several hills to conceal the Great Tomb within a hollowed-out hill. He also dispatched reconnaissance teams, such as Shaltir, Sebas, and Solution, to gather information. Naturally, Ainz himself adopted the role of Momon, the adventurer, to obtain further insights about the world alongside Narbaril Gamma. It was during this time that Demiurge's alter ego, the Demon Emperor, was conceived. This character was initially designed to target the Holy Kingdom specifically, serving as its great nemesis and antagonist, a fearsome and malevolent figure intent on corrupting and plunging its people into misery. Disguised as this Demon Emperor, Demiurge could operate in the outside world without jeopardizing Nazarick's secrecy or causing diplomatic complications down the line. After all, it would have been highly suspicious if Jaldabaoth, the Demon Emperor, suddenly appeared in Nazarick's great tomb as a servant of Ainz Ooal Gown. To maintain this facade, Demiurge adopted his frog demon form to further obscure his true identity. The persona of Jaldabaoth was revealed to the world earlier than initially planned, during the punishment of the Eight Fingers for abducting Tuare. This public debut established Demiurge's alter ego as a significant threat and enemy. At the same time, it set up Jaldabaoth as the nemesis of Momon the Adventurer, who became a legendary hero of humanity by standing against and triumphing over this grave menace. In other words, despite Jaldabaoth's defeat, this early revelation cemented him in the public's eyes as a formidable threat. His appearance alongside the demon battle maids underscored the immense danger he posed. It took Evil Eye and two of her teammates to defeat just one of these maids. Evil Eye, as the Theocracy of Slain knows, is a former member of the 13 Heroes, and powerful enough to inflict tremendous damage if she wanted to. She alone is a serious threat to the Black Scripture and its elite members, except for the Godkin leading them, and of course, Zeshi. In other words, the existence of 4 additional maids, given that Nabe was Momon's companion, was a shock to the global audience, especially to Slain, who saw the incident as linked to the emergence of powerful beings that occur roughly every 100 years. This event also made the appearance of Jaldabaoth at the borders of the Holy Kingdom even more ominous and threatening. So much for the persona of Jaldabaoth. Now let's address the question of why Jaldabaoth is no longer Jaldabaoth but has instead been replaced. The reason here is relatively straightforward. Demiurge is a busy demon who doesn't always have the time to personally handle the daily intricacies of a campaign while assuming his alter ego. He is, after all, the de facto Minister of Defense for the Great Tomb of Nazarick, as well as an essential strategist and advisor to Ainz Ooal Gown. Therefore, Demiurge needed a stand-in, which he accomplished by summoning an entity. Demiurge was capable of summoning an evil Lord of Wrath and deploying it in battle. That's exactly what he did here. The evil Lord of Wrath we see is merely a summoning created by Demiurge, which is why this evil lord looks different from the one within the Great Tomb of Nazarick. In short, they are not the same being. Moreover, the evil lord served another purpose. Like so many other actions taken by the Great Tomb, it was used as bait to lure out the enemies who had apparently attacked Shaltir Bloodfallen. For this reason, it made sense to offer someone as bait who could be sacrificed without significant loss. Despite being a mere summoning, the evil lord was still a sentient and independent entity. Like most demons, he was rather sadistic and cruel by nature, but he also took immense pleasure in specific aspects of his role. On one hand, he delighted in demonstrating to people like Remedios, those who are self-righteous or believe themselves to be just, that all their strength, training, and supposed power, which they wield to fight evil, were utterly insignificant compared to his own might. On the other hand, he found it tedious to eliminate thousands of enemies and leave the remaining weaklings in a state of terror, already paralyzed by fear and despair. In essence, the battle was over before it had even begun. What he enjoyed most was shattering the egos and self-images of righteous heroes like Remedios or Queen Calca. He sought to destroy their identities, rooted in being heroes, and the related idea that they were somehow superior. Simultaneously, he dismantled their belief that, in the face of evil, they could make a difference and bring about change through sheer determination and courage. This, in some ways, is a beautiful metaphor for Overlord as a series. If people like Philip didn't overestimate themselves, if the Eight Fingers were terrified of Ains and Nazarick from the start, or if Yerkniv immediately surrendered, then Overlord's story would only be half as engaging as it is. So now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on Demiurge Jaldabaoth, his persona, and how the world perceived him? Let me know in the comments.
And this channel, The Mindfehler, was made by me, Schäärgocks, and I use almost a woman to narrate my video scripts without my strong German accent, since a lot of you didn't like it.